Your San Francisco 49ers lose to the Baltimore Ravens in a very much surprising fashion to most. This was Brock Purdy's worst game. The defense looked like they can't stop Lamar Jackson. You still are in the lead for the NFC's top seed. It's just you now have a tougher road. And you're just putting a lot of doubt. But there is some positives to this game, and we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about the negatives. But before we do all of that, let's roll that intro. Dawson Rashad here once again for another 49ers video. Holidays were a mess, so I couldn't get a preview done, but I'm back here with the recap. And there's a lot of recap. There's a lot to talk about with the San Francisco 49ers, guys. And where to start? Well, I think one thing to start about is how did this game go into during this week, right? It was a bunch about Super Bowl previews. We're going to see, the MVP be decided between Brock Purdy and Lamar Jackson. That actually probably was, decided, even though it probably should go to CMC. But anyway, there was a lot of talk going into this game, and then the game is finally played, and a lot of stuff did not go the way narratives probably wanted it to go as a Super Bowl preview. And as a 49ers fan, before I get into anything dealing with this offense, I must say this. I respect the Baltimore Ravens. They were the one team I was scared the most of for the 49ers to face this season, particularly in this part of the season. And they proved it. Their defense is their defense, and Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. But the way that this offense lost this game for the 49ers is utterly crazy in my opinion. And we got to start talking with the interceptions. 5 interceptions, but 4 from Brock Purdy this game. First one, all his fault. I'm trying to remember how. I think it goes like 2 of them were his fault. 2 were just dumb luck that the ball bounced into a Baltimore Ravens player's hand. And you could make the case that he probably shouldn't have even thrown the ones that you could say weren't his fault. But the thing with these interceptions, right, is that even though they all basically came in the first half of the game, mind you, right, those were still opportunities that you did not score. Those were opportunities that your defense was getting tired from. And it's a very interesting game from Brock Purdy. We have not seen this from Brock Purdy. Well, we kind of did with the Browns game, but not in the way that a defense is just getting him out of rhythm like Baltimore. I think a good comparison is, I saw this on Twitter, right? What the 49ers like to do on offense, right? The mismatches that it causes, the chaos of the open receivers, the open guys. Imagine that before defense. And that's what happened with the Baltimore defense. That's why I respect them a lot. They play tough. They are back to their, growing up the 2010s defense that gave nightmares to a bunch of 49ers fans when they played in the Superdome, like me. So yes, Brock Purdy's worst game comes against the best defense in the NFL. Should you be concerned about that? I absolutely think you should be concerned about that. Because, as stated before, this was supposed to, in some, people's minds, a preview of the Super Bowl. And if the AFC, and here's the thing about it, you don't have a great record against the AFC. But anyway, if this is how you play against an AFC team and you get to the Super Bowl for the 49ers, it doesn't look good. Now, the thing that is a positive for the 49ers is it's hard to beat a good team twice. It's why, a lot of people were like, dang, we had to play the Rams in the NFC Championship game, even though a lot of people are like, you keep betting for the streak. It's just a very interesting game offensively for the 49ers here. I'll say that. Because you could say, hey, they kept, getting their offense. They outgained them in passing yards. They outgained them in rushing yards. Yards per carry, attempt. All that type of stuff the 49ers did, even with Sam Darnold in as quarterback after Brock Purdy came out with a stinger. But the fact of the matter is this, right? It doesn't matter how many yards you can get if you can't score off of them, because you're turning the ball over, tiring your defense, so it's easier for the Ravens to score. It is easier for them to blow you out. And let's talk about this defense. Now, here's the thing about Lamar Jackson, right? He doesn't face a lot of NFC teams, right? He has, I think only 2 or 3 losses against the NFC in its entirety. It's hard to game plan for a guy you probably see once every few years. So I don't blame the defense for looking a bit foolish against Lamar Jackson, a former unanimous MVP. But I will say, as the game goes on, it's hard to talk about this defense, right? Because the point I just made, it's hard to game plan against Lamar Jackson. You just hope that your offense can keep up with Lamar Jackson. And they didn't, and your defense tires out, and then Lamar Jackson looked like himself as the MVP front runner that he is, and deservingly so. So it's hard to be mad at the defense, mind you. It's very hard to be mad at the defense for how this went for them because of how your offense played. And it's probably going to be a bit harder for your offense because Trent Williams had a groin injury. Aaron Banks had an injury. Who else had an injury? I think Jalen Moore had an injury. Your offensive line that wasn't great in the first place is looking a bit more suspect due to the injuries, and Colton McKivitz is probably going to be your left tackle when he couldn't even play right tackle that great. So, 49ers have the most probably difficult challenge to get the number 1 seed. Here's the thing about it. They don't have to face off against, a team like the Ravens for the rest of the year. For the rest of this regular season, the toughest opponent is the Washington Turf, guys. But still, you had to keep winning because it seems Dallas is going to keep winning and the Eagles are going to keep winning. And if you want those tiebreakers to mean anything in the postseason, in the playoffs, then you got to keep winning. Brock Purdy has to forget about this game. He has to learn from his mistakes and make sure they don't happen. Kyle Shanahan, whatever went into his mind for this game plan, he needs to readjust, needs to reevaluate how he goes. Defense, you're playing your best. I can't be mad at this defense. So, but anyway, 49ers have a tough road ahead of them. If they somehow don't win out, it's going to suck. I'll straight up say that, especially if it's because of Trent Williams not being able to play. But basically, if they can just keep, healthy as much as possible throughout the rest of this regular season and then see what happens in the playoffs, great stuff. So, yes, going to be an interesting watch for the San Francisco 49ers for the rest of the regular season and going into the playoffs. And I'm going to be covering all of it. So if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, comment. This has been Dawson Richard. Follow me on Twitter right there. That's the @ Follow me on Twitter. And I will see you guys next time.